Right friends, welcome back. We are going to discuss budget in detail. This budget discussion will have two parts. Part 1 consists of what is budget and its salient features, and part 2 will be in detail. Please do listen to these two lectures, very important lectures. Part 1 consists of what is budget, what is the meaning of budget. Not only that, salient features of budget will be discussed in part 1, and part 2 will consist of items or the budget announcements in detail will be included in part 2. So, I welcome all of you to the first session on budget, right. Let us look into the budget. Then first, what is budget? Budget is required not only for governments but also for individuals. If you look at your family, your father may be earning 2 lakh rupees per annum. Your father may be earning 2 lakh rupees per annum, and he has to bifurcate the expenditure. How much is required for day-to-day maintenance of family? How much is required for children's education? How much he has to save for future? How much he is required to save for purchasing a house? So, this is all part of the budget of the persons or individuals. Day in and day out, each and every family all over the world knows about budget. Budget is not a new thing, it is required for individuals. Basically, it talks about income and expenditure. Basically, it talks about income and expenditure. Let us come back to the governments. Budget is nothing but annual financial statement. What is annual financial statement? We are going to discuss in detail. Before going into the details of this annual financial statement, I would like to tell few words about this budget. First thing is, budget is prepared by Department of Economic Affairs in the Ministry of Finance. Please don't forget, budget is prepared by Department of Economic Affairs in the Ministry of Finance. Second thing is, halwa ceremony will be held. Halwa ceremony will be held almost 1 week to 10 days before the presentation of the budget, and all the staff associated with the preparation of budget are not allowed to go out, and they will be kept indoors. They will not be allowed to have any contact till the budget is presented. Halwa ceremony to the presentation of budget, they will not have any contact with outsiders, including their family members. The third point which I would like to tell you is, the name of the budget as per the constitution is Annual Financial Statement. Annual Financial Statement is mentioned in the constitution as per Article 112. As per Article 112 of the constitution, annual financial statement appears, that is nothing but budget, and this budget is presented normally on the last working day of February. This year, the Union Finance Minister presented the budget on 28th, that is on Saturday. One more point I would like to tell you is, these budget proposals will be applicable for the next financial year. I have already told you the financial year starts on 1st April and ends on 31st March. So, whatever the proposals presented in the budget will be applicable for the next financial year. That means from 1st April to 31st March of 2015 and 16. That means 1st April 2015 to 31st March 2016, these budget proposals will be applicable, right. There are 3 words with regard to budget. One is regular budget, second one is interim budget, third one is vote on account budget. Probably some of you are familiar with these words. Still, I would like to explain the difference between them. First one is regular budget. Regular budget is the budget presented for the total year, total financial year. If the budget is presented, that is regular budget, which is normally presented every year. Second point is interim budget. If the budget is presented for part of the year, maybe for 3 months or 4 months, that is interim budget. If the elections are due in the month of May, normally budget is presented for the first 3 months or 4 months of financial year. That is interim budget. Interim budget is just like regular budget, but it is for part of the year. Third point is vote on account budget. What is vote on account budget? Vote on account budget facilitates or permits only expenditure. It does not talk about new taxes or revenue front. Vote on account talks about only expenditure. It authorizes expenditure for the period of 3 or 4 months. Vote on account budget facilitates only expenditure, whereas interim budget and regular budget facilitates not only expenditure but also revenue, changes in the revenue. But remember, regular budget is for the entire financial year and interim budget is only for part of the year. Normally, interim budget or vote on account budget is presented when elections are due during May or June, right? Having learned these things, let us look into what are the main documents of budget. What are the main documents of budget? First and the foremost main document of budget is annual financial statement. I would like to tell a bit about annual financial statement. Annual financial statement, that is nothing but normally known as budget, is as per Article 112 of the Constitution. It is nothing but the income and expenditure of the government accounts. Income and expenditure of the government accounts. But remember, these accounts are maintained under 3 heads. Government accounts are maintained under 3 heads. First one is Consolidated Fund of India. Whatever the taxes we are paying, that all will be deposited into Consolidated Fund of India. Whatever the taxes we are paying, that all will be deposited in Consolidated Fund of India. And without the Parliament's approval, you cannot withdraw money from Consolidated Fund of India without Parliament's approval. That means it is to be approved by Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and signed by the President. Then only you can withdraw money from Consolidated Fund of India. All our taxes will be deposited into Consolidated Fund of India, and Consolidated Fund of India is the most important head of the government. And remember, there are some exceptions. The salaries of President, the salaries of governors, the salaries of judges of Supreme Court and High Courts, these are not voted by the Parliament. They are directly charged to Consolidated Fund of India. So these exemptions are called charged expenditure. But majority of the expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India is to be voted by the Parliament. Then only expenditure can be made from Consolidated Fund of India. Look at the second one, Contingency Fund of India. It is like impressed. Contingency Fund of India, no prior approval of Parliament is required. It is for emergencies. Minimum corpus at present is rupees 500 crores. That means 500 crores will be kept as corpus. If there is some emergency like earthquake, floods, directly money can be withdrawn from Contingency Fund of India and it can be utilized. Later on it will be recouped with voting from Parliament. Later on it will be recouped after being voted by Parliament. So this is Contingency Fund of India. First one is Consolidated Fund of India under Article 266. Second one is Contingency Fund of India under Article 267. Third one is Public Accounts. Public accounts, you are investing in provident funds, you are investing in saving schemes in post offices, This is not government money, this is your money that will be deposited to public accounts. This is under Article 266(2) of the Constitution. So, Provident Fund, saving schemes, these all will go to public accounts. Government will act only as a trustee for this money. Government will act as only trustee. Trustee means caretaker. So, government will act only as caretaker for this public account. So, Parliament has got not much say with regard to public accounts. Government will act as only trustee or caretaker for that money. So, Parliament's prior approval is required for withdrawing amounts from only Consolidated Fund of India. So, budget, most important aspect of the budget is revenue and expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India. Right? Having learned this, let us find out what are the total issues with regard to budget. What are the total elements of budget? First one is annual financial statement, we have already discussed now. The second one is demands for grants. Demands for grants are nothing but that is the demand from various ministries with regard to the expenditure. Irrigation Ministry, Ministry of Surface Transport, all these ministries will put up their demands that will be presented in the form of demands for grants, which is to be approved by the Parliament. Based on the demands for grants approved by the Parliament, appropriation bill will be prepared. Appropriation bill is basically to get the vote of the Parliament, to get the vote of the members of Parliament to withdraw expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India. To withdraw expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India. Basically, based on the demands for grants put up by various ministries, Parliament will vote the demands for grants. Subsequently, appropriation bill will be prepared to authorize withdrawal of expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India. Next one is Finance Bill. Finance Bill is with regard to the imposition of taxes, increase in taxes, reduction of taxes. So, please remember in root terms, Finance Bill talks about imposition of taxes, changes in taxes. Appropriation Bill talks about withdrawal of expenditure, and these two are to be passed in Parliament before March 31st. Otherwise, you cannot withdraw amount from Consolidated Fund of India. You cannot impose new taxes from April 1. So, please remember these two bills are required to be passed in Parliament before March 31st, and the other details are receipts budget, expenditure budget, which talks in detail. So, these are the elements of budget starting from annual financial statement, demands for grants, appropriation bill, finance bill, receipts budget, expenditure budget. So, having learned these things, let us look at the budget at a glance. Budget consists of receipts and expenditure. Receipts and expenditure. The size of our budget is for 2015-16 17,77,477 crores of rupees. 17,77,477 crores of rupees. How we are getting our receipts? That is revenue receipts around 11,41,000 crore rupees. That is through imposition of taxes, various taxes, customs duty, excise duty, income tax, corporation tax. These taxes are revenue receipts. Next one is capital receipts. Capital receipts are basically, most of these capital receipts comes from borrowing from public. Government every year borrows lot of money. During the year 2015-16, government is going to borrow 6 lakh crore rupees. And after adjustments, the net borrowing of the government comes to 5,55,649 crores. So, government is going to borrow 6 lakh crores from the market, and the total including borrowing and government's receipts put together comes to 17,77,477 crores of rupees. Coming to the expenditure, normally there are two types of expenditure. One is non-plan expenditure, the other one is plan expenditure. What is non-plan expenditure? Non-plan expenditure is basically consumption expenditure. Consumption expenditure, I have already discussed in economic survey. The difference between consumption expenditure and investment. If you are earning 1 lakh rupees, if you are spending lavishly, going to 5-star hotels, going to trips, going to foreign countries, then that is consumption expenditure. If you are earning 1 lakh rupees per month, then you are saving something and purchasing something, that is investment. Likewise, in the expenditure front, please see the non-plan expenditure is 13 lakh crores. That means that is for salaries, that is for subsidies, that is for paying interest on the debt. So, all these things you can say not for creation of assets, but plan expenditure is for creation of assets. So, plan expenditure is 4,65,000 crores of rupees. Any government should think of reducing non-plan expenditure and increasing plan expenditure so that jobs will be created. I have already told you, total receipts including the borrowings, 17,77,477 crores of rupees. Expenditure 17,77,477 crores. But remember, the total deficit is 5,55,649 crores of rupees. If anyone asks you simple question, what is the fiscal deficit for the year 15-16? Please remember that is 5,55,649 crores of rupees, which is 3.9% of GDP, which is 3.9% of GDP, right? This is about at a glance receipts. And if you want to look into this chart, how the rupee is coming, how the rupee is going. Government, how the rupee is coming. That means out of 100 paise, 20 paise income is coming from corporation tax, 14 paise is coming from income tax, 20 paise is coming from corporation tax, 14 paise is coming from income tax. Like that, government is getting income. But please see, borrowings and other liabilities, are more than our corporation tax. They are 24%. So, we are borrowing more money, 24% of money, 24% of our income is coming through borrowings. Right? How the rupee is going? How the rupee is going? Please see, the state's share of taxes is 23 paise is going to state's share of taxes. Interest payments is going 20 paise. We are borrowing more money. That's why interest payment is going. Like that, you see, defense is around 11 paise. So, like that, the total expenditure is divided here, total income is divided here. Please remember, highest income comes from corporation tax. Of course, if you include borrowings are 24%, corporation tax is 20%. And out of the expenditure part, 23% goes to state's share of taxes. We have already learned last week. State's share of taxes increased in the 14th Finance Commission, and interest payments 20%. So, this is about how the rupee comes, how the rupee goes. So, having learned this, before going into the budget, let us look at some government's flagship programs started by the new government of Mr. Narendra Modi. Out of these government programs, first and the foremost is Swachh Bharat. Government wants to ensure construction of 120 million toilets within the span of 5 years. Government wants to construct 120 million toilets within the span of 5 years, and 3,625 crores allotment is given for the next year. In the budget for Swachh Bharat, 3,625 crores allotment was given. Second important program is Namami Gange, for cleaning the Ganga. Government wants to complete this within the next 18 years by spending 51,000 crores of rupees, and for this year's budget, 2,100 crores was allocated. Next is Jan Dhan Yojana, which came into the Guinness Book of World Records. Then Digital India program. Government wants to connect 2.5 lakh villages by broadband connectivity by December 2016. Then smart cities program, government wants to develop 100 smart cities. For that 143 crores allotment is given. So these are the main flagship programs of the government. And after that, as per the budget speech, I would like to enunciate the 3 key achievements as per the budget document presented by the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. First and the foremost achievement as enunciated by the government is financial inclusion. 12.5 crore bank accounts were opened under Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana within a span of 100 days, which has gone into Guinness Book of Records. Please don't forget, government clearly stated these 3 achievements as the main achievements in the budget speech. Second one is transparent coal block auctions. Government is going into transparent coal block auctions, and because of which states are going to get lot of revenue during the next 20 years. Third one is Swachh Bharat. We have already discussed. Swachh Bharat is to improve hygiene in the country. So government stated these 3 programs as the most important successful ventures of the government of India during the past 9 months after the new government came to power. Right? What are the challenges? As per the budget documents, the major challenges are agriculture is under stress. Agriculture is really under stress. The second thing is manufacturing is declining, which is posing lot of challenge on the employment front. Without manufacturing, employment cannot be created. Third thing is investment in infrastructure is to be increased. That is the biggest challenge. Without infrastructure, country cannot progress. You should have world-class roads, you should have world-class railways, you should have bullet trains, you should have airports, world-class airports. This is all infrastructure. Without world-class infrastructure, you cannot progress. The next one is resource crunch. That means as per the 14th Finance Commission, lot of resources will go to states. That's why central government may face resource crunch, and the last challenge is maintaining fiscal discipline. Please remember, for the 2015-16, the Finance Minister announced 3.9% as the fiscal deficit target, right? Please look into the next one, transfers to states. We have already discussed in the previous lecture with regard to the transfer of share from center to states. As per the 14th Finance Commission report, states' share will increase from 32% to 42% of divisible pool of taxes, and the centers and the states' share is going to increase from 6,83,000 crores to 8,42,000 crores of rupees as stated in the budget documents, because of the increased share in the taxes as announced by 14th Finance Commission. In this connection, please remember, government at the same time is going to reduce its support to various centrally sponsored schemes, and the net result will be something different, right? Please look into the next one, subsidies. We have already discussed in the lecture of economic survey. Any country, investment is desirable, consumption expenditure will not give any result. So consumption expenditure is to be reduced, subsidies comes under consumption expenditure, but in a country like India, where substantial population is still below poverty line, it is not possible to phase out the subsidies altogether, but there is a scope for reduction in subsidies. Please remember, at present, subsidies constitute 14% of government's expenditure. At present, subsidies constitutes 14% of government's expenditure, and if you look into the GDP, subsidies constitute 2% of GDP. Government wants to reduce these subsidies. Next year, they kept the target of 13.72% of total expenditure, right? Look into the next one. Before going into the salient features of budget, as per the budget speech, as per the Prime Minister's vision, government should celebrate Amrit Mahotsav by 2022. Amrit Mahotsav. Amrit Mahotsav means, Amrit Mahotsav is nothing but celebrating the 75th year of independence. And before celebrating that Amrit Mahotsav, government intends to complete these activities before 2022, that is housing for all. Government wants to construct 2 crores in urban areas and 4 crores in rural areas, so as to make housing for all a reality. Second one is 24/7 power supply to each and every habitations across the country. The third thing is at least one member of a family, to have access to livelihood. That means he should have some livelihood source. That means he should have some job, at least one member of the family. Then connecting 20,000 villages which do not have electricity at present. They have to be connected at least with solar grid. So 20,000 habitations are to be given electricity by 2022, and 1,78,000 unconnected habitations are to be connected by road facility, and each and every student of this country should have access to senior secondary school within 5 kilometers of radius. These are the programs government wants to implement by 2022, and the budget is devised in this direction. So in the Prime Minister's words, by 2022 we should celebrate Amrit Mahotsav, and center and the state should work as a team India. So this is the main goal, broader goal of the government, to celebrate Amrit Mahotsav by 2022. So having learned these things, let us look into salient features of budget. First and the foremost thing is GDP growth projected to be between 8 to 8.5% during the next year. GDP growth, if I am producing 100 crores worth of goods and services this year, if you are not familiar with goods and services, please listen to the lecture on economic survey. Goods and services, if I am producing 100 crores worth this year, I should produce 108 crores next year, which makes 8% GDP growth. So next year the GDP growth will be 8 to 8.5%. Fiscal deficit, we have already discussed. Fiscal deficit will be around 5,55,000 crores. It will be 3.9% for 2015-16. 3.9% for 2015-16. So fiscal deficit, I would like to tell you once again, it is the difference between the government's expenditure and revenue. This gap is bridged by taking market borrowing from banks and other financial institutions. This gap is bridged, right? Next one is no change in the income tax slabs. Income tax slabs are kept as it is. We will discuss in detail in part 2 of budget. Corporate tax rate, at present it is 30%. For the industries, the present tax rate is 30%. It will be brought down to 25% during the next 4 years. Next one is abolition of wealth tax. Wealth tax is imposed on the persons who have more than certain limit of wealth. This was introduced in the year 1957, and government decided to abolish wealth tax, and as the wealth tax is abolished, now 2% additional surcharge will be imposed. Please remember, wealth tax is abolished. Because of that, additional surcharge of 2% will be imposed on the persons whose income is more than 1 crore. Look into the next one. GAR, General Anti-Avoidance Rules. Now, lot of investment is coming from foreign land. Several persons and institutions are investing in our shares. These are called capital flows. Lot of capital is flowing from other countries to India. Government is unable to track whether it is through the right sources or wrong sources or black money. So, in order to investigate these matters, this general anti-avoidance rules are framed. But now government decided general anti-avoidance rules will be implemented from 1st April 2017, because if it is implemented immediately, there is every possibility that capital flows may be reduced. Government does not want that to happen immediately, so it deferred the implementation of GAR, that is General Anti-Avoidance Rules, to 1st April 2017. Then GST, Goods and Services Tax, which will have unified tax structure throughout the country, that is proposed to be implemented from 1st April 2016. Then Gold Monetization Scheme, Mudra Bank, FMC to be merged with SEBI, Public Debt Management Agency, increase in infrastructure spending 70,000 crores this year. These are the things we are going to discuss in detail in part 2. These are some of the highlights of the budget. Tough law against the black money, then National Investment and Infrastructure Fund, allotment of 34,699 crores to Mahatma Gandhi Narega, and 5 ultra mega power projects. Each ultra mega power project will have 4,000 megawatt capacity. So these are the salient points of the budget, and these points we are going to discuss in detail in part 2. So having learned these things, let us wind up part 1. Please do join for part 2. Have a nice time. Thank you.